Okay, new one. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No Credentials podcast. We had some technical difficulties there, so I'm sorry. We'll try to stitch that the best that we can, but I'm sorry about that. Sorry, guys.
No worries. It's all good.
So, I'm sorry. So you were talking about like things that you do. You said you're into tutoring and music.
Yeah. So I work with children / mentor them. So I tutor and mentor them. So I tutor like reading / like math and stuff like that.
Like what ages?
Pretty much. Let's see, ages probably 7 through 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So mainly their age range 7, 8, 9. So
were you just good in school? Is that why you decided to do that?
It's something that I've always wanted to do.
Just teach?
I've always just had that natural inclination to help people and especially kids. And the reason why I even decided to pursue that anyway was because I was like, all right, like, how can I be a help in a child's life in a way in which I wish I would have had that hand in my life in some way. So I don't know. It's just nice to be able to be of strong, significant impact to the children because they are the future, and it's nice to be able to feed their visions, their dreams, and help them out to the best of my ability. So
nice. I'm like, fuck them kids. I don't care. I just can't. I get too
That's
annoyed
too good,
kids.
Man.
Yeah. I think I'd have like a lot of fun with my own kids, but like I taught kids jujitsu for a little bit, and it was just like
little rascals.
Little rascals. Like it's almost like babysitting to a little bit, like because you're trying to teach them. I think at some age, a lot of them are really like apt to that or receptive to it. Actually, the girls are so much better than the boys. It's crazy because like at about the 5 to 8 year old range, maybe it's similar in like academics, but at least in jiu-jitsu, I guess in general, just the girls listen. And so they'll listen to the techniques and you can show them a technique and you're like, this is how you beat the boys. And then they'll listen intently and then actually do it. The boys are just like running around, doing whatever. And so it makes it tough to teach them. But so like, do you like do specific subjects or like?
So right now it's like reading and comprehension, math, and I also tutor like nonverbal kids. So it's just
nonverbal.
So
like
ones
kids
that,
with like autism.
Yeah.
And stuff?
Yeah. So a bunch of kids on the spectrum, but I view them as like gifted. You know what I mean? Like I view them as like I don't judge them based off of whatever diagnosis they have. So
all right, my little brother's autistic, actually. He's like verbal, I guess, but like he understands everything perfectly, like that you say to him. He's just not excellent at communicating. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, it's great. I'm looking to like expand upon that, and that's why doing like podcasts and stuff like that, and even challenging my own communication, and even collaborating.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing being able to have that impact on a broader, on a bigger scope. Or, you know what I mean?
Okay. So how did you two meet?
My old job.
Your old job?
Yeah, I met him through the line because I used to
try to
work.
have the mic like maybe a fist away. You can move it around like this.
Okay. I used to work as a barista somewhere else, and I met him through the line. And
through the line as well? Nice. Yeah.
That's hilarious, actually. What the heck?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I just use my jobs for networking. But some time passed and we hadn't really spoken, and I saw him post something about like transcendental meditation. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I had been having this idea to start a YouTube channel, but obviously I have like a lot going on and just really busy. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe if I like start a podcast and asks for some help, then like maybe I can make it work. And just something in the back of my head, not really giving that much thought. But then I saw his posts and it was about meditation. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, somebody who's kind of speaking the same language as me, like interested in the things that I'm interested in. So I just decided to reach out to him and be like, hey, do you want to start this together? Because
oh, really? That's what you led with? Like, hey, want to start a podcast together?
Well, I was actually like, I have this idea for a podcast. Like, you want to meet up about it? And I was like, hey, do you want to be my co-host?
Oh, nice. Wow.
And he was down. And yeah, I thought we'd be a good match because I'm not from Arizona, but I have like just a unique perspective.
Where are you from?
I'm from Oregon.
Oregon? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
I've never been.
It's really pretty.
It's really pretty.
Yeah.
Arizona's got to be better for some reason.
Yeah,
right?
I love Arizona.
I love Arizona too.
Yeah, I went away and I still came back because I love it so much. But
Okay, wow. You moved back to Oregon and then moved back to Arizona?
I took some time off to go travel on the East Coast and kind of mooch off of my mom's free rent
Nice.
in West Virginia. And then people over there are just like pretty angry with their lives. It seems like because the cold.
Oh, okay.
Just like I really like how nice and friendly everyone is here, and I feel like it's just the vitamin D. It makes it so much easier to be happy here.
Wow, there is something to that, right? Like, doesn't like Seattle have like one of the highest suicide rates, and they only have like a couple days of sunshine every year?
Yeah.
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 Well,
I think there's something to that for sure. Although there could be the opposite side of it where it's so fucking hot outside that you're like, Jesus Christ. Like I've lived here my whole life and now I just go outside and get pissed every day.
Yeah.
No, I'm like
good.
every winter I'm like, it's really not that bad here. People who are like traveling or here temporarily, I'm like, it's not that bad. You go from air conditioned house to air conditioned car and it's really not a big deal. And then summer comes, I'm like, why the fuck do I live here? Yeah.
But the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only go to California for perfect weather year round.
Yeah.
And then they have their problems too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So have you guys have you like actually recorded an episode yet? Or are you like in the works of that?
We've just done ones with each other. We have
Okay.
yet to have a guest on because we're still getting the equipment.
Huh.
But
Well, that's cool.
yeah.
So have you recorded it so far?
He has a camera and he knows how to do that stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had sort of like a background because I studied film and then I
Okay.
also studied like audio production. So I've kind of throughout time I've kind of figured out like what I wanted to really do. So like I've been like editing video and stuff for a while and doing some music stuff. But when she reached out about collaborating on the podcast, I was like, perfect. Like that's the reason why I even put out like content. Because I want to reach as many people as I possibly can. You know what I mean? But we did record 2. Our first one we recorded, we actually messed up. On my side, I messed up because I was just recording into one of the microphones.
Oh no.
And yeah, so it
That's
was a
okay.
little technical.
That's like what the
difficulty, but-
pilots are about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But second one we recorded on the mountain.
Oh, nice.
Squat Peak. Yeah. So we just brought the chairs up there, hiked up a little bit.
Wow, that's pretty badass.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. So
Yeah, we'll find a cool spot for when you come on. too.
Okay, I'm
Dude,
down
yeah.
for sure. I might have to wait till the weather cools off though. I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
if
we're
I
waiting.
can sit outside. Yeah.
because we were just doing like early morning podcasts.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
While
Even
it
then.
was pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just a sweaty person in general. Like at my gym, I'm the sweatiest person, like
Yeah.
by far. So like from the walk from my house to my car, I start sweating. So I would be there and just be like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can do it. But when the weather cools off, I'm down for sure.
Yeah. Let's do it, man.
Okay.
It's coming.
Cool. Nice. So you said you made a post about like transcendental meditation, or that's how you found each other. What exactly is transcendental meditation?
Basically, it's a form of meditation where you
Transcend.
basically.
There it is.
I learned this term, if I'm phrasing it correctly, but it's like there's active meditation, and then there's like more transcendental meditation.
Okay.
And the second form is where you get past your kind of ego. So you're kind of like, you become nowhere, no space, no time, no body, and you just kind of sink into the abyss, basically, is what you're trying to do. You're trying to, go into your breath and just let your mind go silent, which is obviously really hard because you have chatter up there. But
What would be the difference between just normal meditation and that?
Well, active meditation.
Just like when you get a professional, then you could get into transcendental when you get really good at it.
I feel like people mostly like kind of, you're supposed to start with transcendental meditation.
Like, what would be the difference in your intention when you go sit down and to meditate?
Well, it's basically, obviously, every time you meditate, you do want to get into that state where you are transcended, like you're into that higher state of consciousness. But the other form that I've learned and is a little bit easier for me is active meditation, which is where you use visualization to meditate. So, for
like,
example,
I'm at the beach. Or something.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're trying to like manifest something, you can envision that in your mind, and if you do it enough, you can bring it to you, basically.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that, as long as it's like coupled with action.
Yes.
So is it like kind of like, have you heard of like The Secret?
Yes.
Yeah. So a little bit like that.
Yes.
Where you're just like, you put something into the, like you're, put something into the universe. You're like thinking a thought over and over and over. It's going to happen. Like you visualize it and then it happens.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that also has to be coupled with like action towards
Yes.
it. Right. I think that's like a key component.
Most
Can't just like sit on
definitely.
your couch and be like, checks, checks.
Exactly.
Millions of
Yes.
dollars. And then like you get like an eviction notice.
No, it definitely, it takes time. Like you got to dedicate yourself. And I have this understanding of like, there's a way to manifest in a feminine way and there's a way to manifest in a masculine way. And people are very like, they take these words and just automatically they're kind of like, ugh, like it makes people uncomfortable to think of it in this way. But understanding these kind of like two components makes it really easy. Because, so, the feminine way of manifesting is when you kind of lean back and you let it come to you. And then the masculine way is when you take action in the physical reality. So, like, let's say I'm trying to get a better paying job. I'm going to do the feminine work by, doing the meditation, becoming like vibrationally a match to the job that I want. But that's not enough,
Yeah.
How am I going to get that job if I'm not applying?
Yeah.
So that's why you also got to follow through with like the physical steps in the material reality, like take those masculine steps of doing, planning, action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually like taking action and going and make it happen.
Yes.
Interviews, things like that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So like a combination of those two things, like you said, is like what's actually key to making whatever you're trying to manifest into reality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm not too good at meditation. I've like never tried to meditate, or I mean, I think I've tried a couple times, but it's a pretty difficult thing and I just don't make time for it anymore these days. The way that like, the only way that I've done it is like Alan Watts has a guided meditation, which, have you heard of Alan Watts?
Yes.
He's a pretty smart guy. I like him a lot.
Yes.
I think he died in like the 70s or 80s, so he's long gone now, but he has like a guided meditation, and basically his, like what he does or says in it is to just like start by like listening, because if you're trying not to think or trying not to do anything, like the trying in the first place is where you're fucking up, and you got to just like let go.
Right.
So he talks about like listening to, the air conditioning first, and then like listening to your heart beat, listening to your breath, and just trying to like listen to the moment and then, let go that way. So yeah, he talks about like if you try to, like if there's like a rough water, if you try to like even it out with an iron, it's only gonna make it rough. You just gotta let it be, and then it will eventually calm. Kind of like your mind, you just gotta like let it be.
Yes.
Sounds like a great meditation.
Yeah.
I would love to check it out.
Oh, it's pretty cool. Yeah, Alan Watts is the man. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Love listening to him.
Yeah.
He has a lot of very deep philosophical things that he says. So it's
Very
nice.
cool. So you said, so you do tutoring, and then also you're into music.
Yeah. So
What kind of music do you do?
I produce like hip hop.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm mainly into hip hop. I've always
So you
had.
produce it, meaning like do you create? Are you on the creative side or like?
Yeah, well, a mixture of. So I produce, like I make beats and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Occasionally record some projects and stuff like that. I also do some like live music production stuff. So that's really cool because there's much more maneuverability, in that field, because there's just so many elements involved in just a production in general,
Yeah.
and so many networking opportunities as well available. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's a huge passion of mine. It's
Nice.
something that I've always just music is something that's guided me throughout my whole life. So I was like, what makes sense as far as like a creative pursuit. I know that like pursuing something out of just passion, I know that always leads to good things and always branches off and leads to even more opportunities.
Yeah.
So just, yeah.
Sort of following your passion with that. That's good. Nice. That's really cool. You know what's one thing that's interesting that I've like met a lot of people through just sort of, I mean, it's sort of almost like a recent decision of mine to like start pursuing some of my passions and stuff. Like I've been in commercial real estate actually. I think like 2 weeks now will be my 8-year anniversary.
Wow.
And so like as a young man, like I always wanted to, I mean, at first I wanted to just like be able to move out of my mom's house and like, you know, be self-sufficient and make money and stuff. And there's not a whole ton of ways unless you're like naturally talented at something to sort of like enjoy what you do. You know, unless you were born with a talent, whether it's like a musical talent or like worked at it from a young age, or unless you I guess worked at it from a young age. Whether that could be like if I would have gotten into jiu-jitsu younger, maybe I could have like taught that or something. Or if you would, you know, have a natural voice, or if you're naturally, you know, very good looking and you could like make money just from doing that. Unless it's one of those things, you either have to, I mean, you kind of just have to work at something and get better at it. Mm-hmm. So I did college for 4 years. I ended up dropping out because it just wasn't for me. And then I got into commercial real estate, and, you know, it's been like a total blessing, like how I landed into it, and I feel like it's developed me as a person a lot. I've met a ton of awesome people through it. Like the people that I work with right now are really cool people. A lot of the guys that are like my clients are really cool people, have become really good friends, but it's not something that you do for like the love of the sport. Right. You know, no one brokers because they just love brokering, you know, like no one's doing it for free. No one's gonna be like, oh, I'll just do all this work for you and then just don't ever pay me. You know, it's not something you just do for the love of it. So it was actually just sometime last year that I like had this thought. I'd been thinking of it for a while to like start a jiu-jitsu competition, and I'd like thought about it for a while, and then it was just this one moment that I like committed to it, and I decided 100% I'm doing it, and so I started taking steps towards that, and like I just did my first one in May. Like I put it on. It went so well, like better than I could have ever imagined. It was insane, and like wow. It was honestly like a spiritual thing just to have like this thought in my head at one point, and then like I was like thinking about this thing, and then like a fucking Batman grapple hook, I just shot that shit out of reality and pulled it in. And like I was on May 20th, I was standing on a logo that was 10 foot by 10 foot, like my fucking logo, my Butter Smooth logo. And it was insane just like doing that. And it went so well. Everything went really, really well, like better than I could have ever imagined. I had such great positive feedback. Everyone really had a great time. And it like reassured to me that like taking a chance on yourself is just the fucking move. You know, just do that. And like, you know, right now I'm still brokering. I'm gonna continue to broker until I don't have to anymore, you know, or until I fulfill all the obligations that I have, because I've got a lot of obligations with different individuals, and I'm gonna try to work my absolute best to fulfill those to the absolute highest that I can. But doing that made me realize that like I need to continue to pour love and attention into the shit that I love. And so, you know, I've got another one coming up, and then sometime like after that, or you know what, it was actually right before that. It was the week before the tournament too. I had like another experience where I like decided to just keep leaning into this. I mean, it was actually the experience right a week before that made me think that like, oh shit, like I've been spending a lot of time on this. I've been like taking time away from my own personal job, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I want to give my life to something that I love. You know, I don't want to give my life to something that I'm not into. And that it was during that time also that I was like, you know what, I'm starting a fucking podcast too. That's what I'm talking about, man.
Why not?
Yeah. Because I'm like, you know, I feel like our ability to communicate is the primary reason that humans have overtaken the earth. It's because we can tell our kids like, hey, don't fucking go there, or don't touch that, or it's a lot easier if you do it this way. Or you can read some guy's book who spent like 80 years figuring out something, and you can just read it in however long it takes you to read a book. For me, it's like about 3 months to read a book. I'm a really slow reader. But our ability to communicate is the primary reason that differentiates us from all other animals. And during this time, I was like, you know what? Starting a podcast, I mean, my job has helped me work on my communication skills, but like a podcast is also an excellent way just to learn how to like talk better and, you know, just become a better speaker, a better orator. Nice. Another good word, yeah.
And you're really good at it. You got a good presence, and you make, like it feels very welcoming, and
thank you.
Got a great setup.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry we had some fuck ups earlier.
Don't be sorry. I had a question. So for jiu-jitsu, what originally got you started in jiu-jitsu, and what do you enjoy about it?
So it was like on it. So like I've been listening to Joe Rogan since I was like 16, and he'd talked about jujitsu for a little bit, and so it was an idea in my head. And after high school, I did football 4 years of high school. After high school, I started boxing for a little bit, and I did that for about 2 years. But I had a few different events that like made me not want to continue to box. Like one, just like not being able to remember my girlfriend's name at the time. I had like a hard sparring session, and I was like, "There's someone important in my life." I'm like, what the fuck? And I couldn't remember her name at all. And I was like,
man.
yeah. And like 10 minutes went by, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, how did I forget? And like, so that event, like coupled with a few others, I'm like, I shouldn't do this long term. So I stopped boxing, and then I was living in Tempe going to ASU, and I was right across the street from a jiu-jitsu gym. And I like went in, I checked it out, and it was fucking sick. Like, I just really liked it. And so basically, from that date, I just haven't stopped doing it.
That's
And
amazing.
so, yeah, I mean, I love it for a million different reasons, but like that, I started doing it. Really, I think I was like getting kind of fat, and I'm like, what could I do that's like, I don't like sprint, I don't like running, I don't even like going to the gym. Like, it's just not fun for me. So I tried out jujitsu, and it was like super fun, and so I've just not stopped basically.
What are like the main elements involved in jujitsu? Like what are the main teachings in it?
So, I mean, it's one of those things that it's like you start and you're just so novice in like 9 million different ways, and like you don't even know. Like, I feel like there's someone who's talked about like the different levels of like competence. Like, first there's like unconscious competence, where you don't or unconscious incompetence, where like you don't even know what you don't know. And then like you move past that, and like you realize like, oh, I know nothing, and then like it's like to conscious competence, and then it's like there's 2 more levels after that. I don't know. But it's like, so when you first start, it's just, there's so much to learn, and then you start to learn a little bit, and you like start to figure things out, and that becomes exciting. Like, you learn like a choke that you really like. Maybe like it works for whatever reason. Maybe it's like a Darce choke. It's like really good for long arms. And you just gravitate that, and then you start hitting it, and you're like, oh shit, wow, I can get better at this thing if I just keep showing up. One huge aspect of it is that it's just so meditative. It's like you show up and you start training, and especially at the beginning when it's like so, even now it's the case, especially if I get like into hard roles with guys that are very competitive or like high level, and we can like go back and forth. But it's like you'll go, and then like you'll be an hour into it, and then you'll finish, and it's like, oh shit, like I've got a job, I've got like a house. Like, you just forget about the outside world completely.
Wow.
And then, that's a huge, really cool aspect of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been looking into getting into jiu-jitsu. What would you say like would be the best like first step?
Just fucking showing
Just
up to
going
a
for it.
gym.
Yeah,
Just, I would say like, depends on where you live, is maybe what's closest to you might be best, but that might also not necessarily be best. Like, going to, I would say any, like the 3 closest to you, I would say do like a free trial there, and just whichever one you like the best, whichever vibes kind of match with you the best, I would say just start doing that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You're not limiting yourself to just one place.
For sure, yeah. And just so you can
get.
get like, figure it out. Like, there's certain gyms that are almost like cult-like, and people start there and they don't realize that it's not like that in other gyms.
Wow.
And so for that reason alone, it's probably important to go to a couple.
That's a great point.
Yeah. You should do it too.
Come on.
My girlfriend's a blue belt.
Really?
Yeah, she's been doing it for a few years now. And honestly,
So badass, man.
It is
yeah,
badass.
it's super cool. We'll go out and fucking compete together.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, we'll just like put it on the line together. We're training together. We're like making each other better. She's a blue belt. I'm a brown belt. So I've been doing it about 7 years. She's been doing it about 2 years. So I get to like show her a lot of stuff through this. She's like, we're probably flipped as far as like competence in yoga. She's probably like a brown belt in yoga. I'm like a blue belt in yoga. So she's teaching me a lot through that too. So it's been this really beautiful thing that we could share together. I've really enjoyed it.
I love that, man.
Yeah. And also too, for girls too, it's just like, it makes you competent and like, I guess more confident in that if something were to go down, you could choke a motherfucker.
That would be nice to just like have up my sleeve.
Yeah,
You're hilarious,
exactly.
man.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Who knows? Maybe we'll try a class or something.
Yeah, give it a go. What part of town do you guys live in?
I just.
You have to say exact.
I'm out like on the outside, more south, outside of the city.
Oh, okay. Huh. Outside of Phoenix, you're saying? Okay. I
More
need your
towards
exact
Tempe.
address right now. I'm just kidding. Towards Tempe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm in Phoenix, like Arcadia area.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you after the pod. There's a few different ones I could probably recommend based on like where you guys, what's close to you. But
I appreciate it.
It's totally worth it. Just about every single gym has a free trial that you could do. So,
That'd be
like,
sweet.
there's no harm in a free trial.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Well, I like have been thinking about like I need some sort of discipline like that's physical because with the heat like I usually go on hikes and stuff.
Yeah.
But with the heat I can't do anything outside and
Yeah.
I was telling him actually yesterday how I've been feeling like energy is just kind of stuck in my body, just been feeling stagnant, weighed down and I feel like things like that are physical are such a good release. You
Totally.
know? And also just getting lost in something that's healthy for you and, you know, just being like meditative in that way, I think is like really good to have those outlets.
Oh, for sure. 100%. I mean, that's what I say with people, like working out is so important but it doesn't need to be like fucking doing sprints or like hitting the gym. It should be just whatever you're into, whether that's like, for me, it's jujitsu. It could be yoga. It could be swimming. It could be biking. It could be hiking. I like hiking a lot too, but you're right. Like just right now, it's just so hot outside. Yeah. It's important to find something that you could just do like all the time. It's just important as like humans. We've got like that thing in us that like wants to, maybe like millions of years we were just like hunter gatherers and we're like fucking sprinting every day. And now we're just like sitting at offices or whatever, not sprinting every day. Yeah.
I think that stuff, like, it is embedded in our DNA, like
It
all
totally
those
is.
little things.
Yeah, me and my coach talk about it. Like we try to redline, like you know, like redlining on a car at least like 5 or 6 times a week.
Nice.
You know, and that I feel
Wait, I don't know what that
That's
means.
awesome.
like actually hit your max of like what your body will allow. So like, you know, about to on the verge of throwing up maybe would be redlining, or you know, now I don't get to where I'm gonna throw up, but try to, you know, get to the point where you feel like you absolutely need to take a break or you're going to collapse, like that type of thing. Okay. And maybe that's an intense way to do it. I don't think everyone needs to go that intense, but just for me and him, I feel like I'm at my best when I'm doing that.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I get a lot of satisfaction through it too. And also too, I don't think I could redline just running sprints or something. I just couldn't. I wouldn't push myself to do that, especially regularly. But like jujitsu, I can just go and I'm constantly working on something, and subsequently I get a really good workout. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our brains are still like hardwired in that way too for like, what's the word I'm looking for? But like we still like to like have treats for ourselves almost in a way. Like
yeah.
you do this and then you earn that like
Get
mental
like a reward. Yeah.
But it's cool when it's like mental or like just for yourself, you know, it's not like a material thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I submit a motherfucker, I'm like, yeah.
You just got tallies.
Yeah. No, that's not it. Because I also get submitted a lot. That's part of it. Like especially for men, it's really great to like, I mean, people in general, but like men often walk around with this like unearned bravado of like, if something came to it, like I could fuck a person up. And then, you know, most of the time that's not the case. Like you're just very incompetent unless you've tried to, you know, no one thinks that if they've never played basketball before in their life, no one thinks that they're just going to go to a basketball court and be just crossing people up. But for some reason, men often think that regardless, if something were going to happen, you know, I could handle myself.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, like you actually know that you can handle yourself.
Well, it's just like I fight people more or less, you know, about every day. Like I train most every day. Yeah. Like in preparation for a camp, I'm usually 10 jiu-jitsu sessions a week, and then plus like some yoga and other stuff too.
That's
pretty
really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
When's your next, you said you're hosting another event like that?
Yeah. So I call it the Buttersmooth Fight Club. So I've got like this Instagram profile called Buttersmooth Moves, and it just started like out of fun doing it. And then when I decided to make the jiu-jitsu competition, I called it the Buttersmooth Fight Club. And so BSFC 1 was May 20th, and BSFC 2 is happening September 16th. So actually today we are exactly 1 month out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I've been trying to like make a lot of posts about it, trying to get people on board and signed up.
That's awesome.
It's exciting, man.
Yeah, it's very nerve wracking because like, especially the first one, I posted it initially, then like announced it for the first time. I'm like, what if no one signs up? You know, like if I spent all this money trying to like, you know, just set everything up in the first place, get all the stuff for it, and also just for my own, you know, I'm making this date. I was like, what in my head? I'm thinking like, what if I just show up and like no one fucking signs up? And so even now, like, I'm a month away, and I think on one of my brackets I don't have anyone signed up yet. But I've realized that's kind of, it's just how it goes. Like most people, when I sign up for tournaments, I'll do it like, I'll sign up 1 week out. So, I mean, that's just how people do it. People don't usually sign up months in advance. So that's just how it goes. But yeah, if you guys are interested, I'd love to have you come.
Dude, I'd be more than happy to.
Awesome.
You up
yeah.
for it?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'd love for you to be there.
My brother would be up for it too. 'Cause
Okay, cool.
He's actually teaching me how to fight.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it'd be like a good introduction for you too into
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, just to
Dude.
see if you like it and stuff.
I'd love to join.
Cool, nice. You said your brother's teaching you how to fight?
Yeah. So I mean, he has a lot of life experience as well. He was in the Marines for a while.
Oh, nice.
So he's back living with me after like 5 years apart. He was in Montana prior,
wow.
so now he's back with me. And
You guys live together?
yeah,
Nice.
so that's been sort of a transition because it's been a while since we like been in the same
We're
place.
together? Yeah.
So it's cool. It's really cool being able to like work with him through some different things, and he teaches me a lot of different things, and
Nice.
we kind of like lift each other up.
Very cool. It's
So
important to have that.
yeah.
Do you have other siblings?
I do. So I have a younger sister and a younger brother as well.
Oh, wow. Huh, so 4 of you total?
4 of us.
And now you and the older brother live together?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool. It's super important to have something like that. Yeah, me and my brother have always had a real tight relationship. I think it's cool to have that. It's tough to have just friendships like that in general. So to
Right.
have like a kinship that's like that is sick.
It's something else, man. It's I'm very appreciative of it because I mean, me and my brother have been through a lot just growing up in general, and we've like had to walk our separate paths, and just through our ventures of doing that and still communicating. So like we would communicate over the phone and stuff like that, and really just I think as we've both developed and grown and kind of grown past our different traumas and stuff like that, we were able to really connect. So I was able to really hear him. He was able to really hear me, and we've really just grown that bond. And
Nice.
now that he's reintroduced into my life and back with me, it's a really cool thing.
That's really cool.
to be able
To
to-
talk about it as adults too, not,
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
like you experienced it as children, but it's probably more difficult. You don't even realize you're like experiencing trauma when you're a kid. And then, you know, just have the after effects as an adult.
Dude, it's crazy. And just, I mean, to deconstruct that stuff as adults and like have a more clear view, a more bird's eye view of the whole situation, it's therapeutic. It really is.
Nice. Yeah, that's very cool. Especially to have a brother to like, you know, talk to about it. Rather than if you like went through it by yourself, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that support and be that support, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 older sisters.
Oh, nice. They're just the 3 girls?
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Raised by a single mom, so.
Oh,
all
wow.
girls.
Wow.
And yeah, I think it's really beautiful, like teaching and learning in that way too, like from your siblings.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if you go kind of separate ways, you can always come back together and take what you've learned, like in your time away, and be like, here, like,
Yeah.
this is what I learned. Let me show you.
Wow. Are your sisters still on the East Coast or they live locally?
They're different states. Like we're all in different states right now, so it's tricky because we all have different schedules too. But I'm one of those people, like, we don't have to be talking every day, but you know, you still hold the same place in my heart. Like
Nice.
all my friends that I moved away from, like, I know for some of them they like presence, like my presence, but for me it's kind of tricky to always like have that. And I think that I really value those people that even though I'm not there, like I'm still there in spirit, and they're still like in the same place in my heart. And if time passes, I can go back and it's still the same, you know,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough to stay into communication. Like my brother lives in Vegas right now. And like we'll get into modes where we're calling each other every week, and I absolutely love it. But then we'll fall off and then just maybe not talking as much. But it is great. Like as soon as you talk to them again, or having those relationships where it's like you get back together and it's like you've never even left each other.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a powerful thing.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Very cool. Yeah.
Do you just have the one brother?
Yeah, I've got a little brother and a little sister. Yeah.
Oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. Yeah, and so we've actually known each other since we were like children. Like I was 5, Desiree was 3, and Trey was 1. So we've been together since like little babies. But that's when we met. Like they're technically not blood related to me. So I have actually had like an interesting growing up where like during the weekdays I was like an only child, and then on the weekends I had my brother and sister. So it's like a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an only child, but also a sibling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite, where I was like, we're all 4 years apart. So I had siblings, but then when I was like in 8th grade, I was like the only child because they went to college or left, and I was like, what the heck? Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, like the dynamics too between siblings, like the youngest, the middle,
the birth order.
Yeah, I think
the birth order
really
is important. Actually, it does mean something, or not important, but it has an influence on like the person's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for like being the second oldest, like I couldn't imagine what that would be like.
It's just kind of being in the middle of everything.
Yeah. But the one thing, you're not the true middle,
True. Oh.
So, because like if you have 3 kids, then you've got a middle child. You kind of have 2 middle child with 4 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. With I also have 2 half siblings and one, like my older brothers, like we're blood related. So
oh wow. Huh.
It's definitely interesting because like we like growing up at one point, like, we all were together, and then we all like split apart. And that was really tricky, having to like not be around all of your siblings at once, but being separated and then eventually coming back together, but in just like a crazy way. It's just it's interesting.
It's interesting how life plays out.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I think back when we all kind of got split up, and that was just a really uneasy, just crazy point in my life growing up. Very like emotional part of my life growing up, and just seeing how everything played out, up until now. I'm just like, the way I view it in any situation that's stressful or challenging, it's like, no matter what, everything will always work out in some way, even if you like whether or not you see it at that moment in time where you're going through that.
Yeah. It is important to have that belief for sure. Yeah. Because like, I mean, kind of like goes back to what you were saying earlier about just like following your passion and, like doing that. Like you have to just sort of trust that it's going to happen and work out. If you wallow in like, this shit happened to me and my life was bad because of this and that, I mean, like, I feel like you just put yourself more into that negativity and like attract more shit that's not good for you. You gotta, I mean, like everyone is dealt a hand that's not perfect, and you gotta just take what hand that you're given and try to make the best of it.
Yeah. Just build your foundation off of it, build your foundation off where you are now.
Yeah.
Don't make any excuses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. Not just saying like, if you make excuses for anything, like for one, it doesn't fucking do anything.
Nope.
It doesn't make anything better. Like, and you're only trying to help your own ego for like, the reason is not because it's not my fault. You have to take like, everything is my fault. Everything that happens negatively is my fault, and everything that happens positively is my fault. And so if something fucking shit happens, it's my fault. I did something bad. And then, if something good happens, you could like, it's because I was trying my best. And that's all you can do is fucking just try your best. Try my best.
Yeah. It's definitely hard when you're a kid, though, and bad things happen. Because, like, that sometimes how does that phrase go? The son pays the sins of the father. Like, there are some circumstances when you're a child, you have to kind of live through your parents' karma in a way and get, kind of grow up and get through it. But like once you step into that adulthood, it really is, you have to take responsibility for your life.
Yeah. Well,
and even if like there are challenges and you are like a step behind in some aspects, I think it's even more of a motivation to get ahead, because it's like, well, I was a step further, but I can still get to that point where, you know, I'm proud of my life. I'm proud of the things that I'm attracting in my life.
Yeah, like look how far I've come. Yeah, that type of thing. Well, you're totally right too. That's like a good point. Like it's not like everything that happens negatively is not the child's fault. That's like one thing. Like if the parent is a horrible person or does things or puts the kid in certain situations, I mean that's never the child's fault. But like once you become an adult, like you only have the choice of like try to make it better or just, you know, wallow in the things that were bad. So yeah, but that is one thing that's horrible is like the things that parents subject their children to.
Yeah, that's one thing I really admire about Isaiah is because he works with kids.
Trying to help the kids.
Yes. And yeah, I'm not patient for kids either, but like he really does have a positive impact. And, you know, just thinking back, you know, when I was younger, like having like positive role models in my life, like my older sisters, it made all the world of difference. Like I would not be here today, you know? So everything really just makes an impact and leaves a mark. And I think it's just so important to realize that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beautiful.
That's really cool. Do you like working with kids?
I love it. I really do. They're just so fun.
Yeah.
Like to me, I've always had that innate, like, I love working with kids, you know, kids are cool, you know, it's like.
Do you want to have kids yourself?
Eventually. It'd be cool.
Nice.
It'd be cool to have a little mini me running around.
Right? Yeah.
Teaching him the ways, showing him, you know, what I know. It's like.
Exactly.
You know, and actually raising the child how I would want to raise him.
Yeah.
You know, not how kind of I was raised. Because I kind of had a really tough
upbringing.
Yeah. So I would definitely, I don't know, working with the kids I work with helped me realize like, wow, this is how amazing children are. Because they're all just so unique and so different. And I'm like, man, like they're like little angels.
Yeah. They're so innocent too. They just don't know. Yeah. It's like when they become adults that they become pieces of shit. But
it's just like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it almost goes back to that choice of like you have the choice to like start to work on yourself or don't, because like you could have experienced like super severe trauma and it's like maybe you've been put into situations that are legit not your fault, but like at some point you got to take responsibility. Like have you guys ever heard of Soft White Underbelly? It's like a YouTube channel where this guy just goes around, like he's done a bunch of interviews with people on Skid Row, and like he'll go to like drug addicts and prostitutes and gang members, and I mean he'll even do like wardens who are responsible for death row and a bunch of like interesting walks of life. But like I mean he's probably got dozens of people just from Skid Row who are, you know, homeless and drug addicted or prostitutes or whatever they are. Not all of them are drug addicted either, but the common theme in all of them was that they had horrible childhoods, you know, and it's just horrible. I mean, at some point, I mean, I heard one person say that like successful people, like trauma is actually like a necessary part of like great success, but it should be like there's like a sweet spot of trauma. There's like enough to where you have something to prove and try to be better, but not too much to where you maybe like use outside coping mechanisms like drugs or whatever it is. Right. So like it's almost a good thing because like you know, if people that were silver spooned and everything was like went perfect for them, I mean, often those people are like huge fuck ups, you know? So kind of need some struggle in your life.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think that trauma is like a very interesting catalyst for creative people.
Yeah.
And like I just noticed that a lot of people that I resonate with, like they're all kind of like weird.
Yeah.
Like they all are kind of weird, but it's like they have this almost like portal where they're able to access this another dimension, and that's where the creativity or that gift is able to kind of like funnel through them. And I think that it sometimes happens from trauma at a young age. Like you're able to be open to, because you experience such pain, you're able to experience such beauty, because it's like, yeah, if your life is just easy and perfect, you don't even realize how good you have it. But if you come from darkness and you reach for the light, then you're able to shine so much brighter because you came from all that, muck. So when you get there, it's like you're so much more grateful. It's so much more rewarding. And not to say that, you have to go through hard things to experience this. I just think it's
often the most interesting people have been.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
They say like like every comedian is like fucked up in some way. It's like especially the great comedians have like had some fucked up thing in their life, and that's what makes them, I guess, a great comedian. Or they've always had something to prove. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost the same way where it's like, they have to figure out a way to cope with it, but
Making people laugh is like a good way. Yeah.
And it serves the world better. Like they transmuted that horrible thing, and they're using it for good. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it too. Like serves the world. Like I think it is important to find something that like you can do for other people and like help other people. Like it's you can't go out and like gather food for them or hunt a buffalo and help your tribe, but you can help your tribe in other ways too. And like people say that, or I've heard this quote like that: the more people that benefit from your existence, the more like successful you'll be. Because like if you think of like Jeff Bezos, for instance, he's like one of the richest people in the world. Do you guys have Amazon Prime? All of us have Amazon Prime
at one point.
Yeah, right? I mean, I've used Amazon this year, probably. I mean, like just about every single person uses or benefits from his existence. And so because of that is the money's just funneling over that way. But yeah, it's important to find something that you can help people with, and maybe that's something as simple as like what you guys are talking about, like talking about spirituality and things that resonate with you, and then maybe that resonates with other people. But you're taking the leap and trying to just go for it, and maybe in that way you can help other people. Or you make sick jewelry. People are like in the club, like with the jewelry.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you like carve those rocks like in those shapes, or?
No, I just put them together.
Oh, nice. That's cool too. Because that one looks like it's like shaped like a cat.
Yeah. I
Nice.
just got this one in Joshua Tree.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. My girlfriend has a cat. Usually it's making a guest appearance, but it's not here right now. Yeah, it's at her place. No, she's not here right now. It's at her place.
Dang it.
Yeah. That's cool. Do you have cats?
I do. I have a cat.
Nice.
He is an orange cat, so he's crazy.
Oh, wow. Are orange cats crazy?
Yes.
Like
that
Garfield?
stereotype is true.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got 2 at home.
2 cats?
One of them is orange. She's very
wow.
sweet.
Huh.
She's
She's not a crazy cat?
She's not too crazy.
Huh.
But I don't know. I guess I've just raised her just being like super comfortable with like, holding her, flipping her upside down, doing all this. Like, she's just cool.
Nice. That's what we're trying to do with Gigi. Just like fucking mess with her.
Yeah.
So she's like always cool with it. I'll feed her, take it away. Feed her, take it away.
Yeah.
Feed her, take it away. I'm like trying to pin her, do different things.
Yeah. It's
So
so
she's
fun.
like cool, and she like it grows up. She's gonna let me do this. So
My other cat's part Siamese, and she's like a lemur. She jumps on my shoulder, and she even plays fetch. Which is
oh
kinda
wow,
funny. She's
that's
kinda
pretty
like
cool.
a dog too.
Nice. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, like that's what I did with my dog when she was a baby. She I always picked her up, and like I forget someone once said like once she goes big enough, because she was a pit bull. Once she's like big enough, she's like not gonna let you do that. But I did it like all the time, and so even when she was full grown, like 70 pounds, I could just pick her up and hold her upside down.
That's great. That's great.
Upside down.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So how long have you been making jewelry?
Almost 2 years now.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it was actually like I just did it for fun, but then people like be like, "Oh my gosh, do you sell them?"
Yeah.
But now that I'm trying to sell them, it's like the opposite. Like I'm like trying to take
Less
it serious.
people, yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I'm just going with the flow. Like
Yeah.
it's not something I'm super passionate about. Like it's something that I love to do for people when they do want it, but I don't try to push it just because like it's not where my heart is. It's
Feels
not,
maybe a little disingenuous.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So that's why I'm following this a little bit more.
Oh, nice. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. Well, I mean, it's still like nice if you enjoy doing it, or like if people like it. I mean, you're still like giving like a good service. Or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like to just be able to like do it for myself too whenever I want.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. My girlfriend liked it. She like complimented you on it.
Oh, I know.
That's great.
Yeah. Nice.
So are you doing this podcast with like her as well? Or?
We've done some together. Like I said, we recorded like 3 together just as pilots, and our third one it was like we did about 2 hours together. I'll release it for sure, but she just doesn't want to be first episode too. And
see.
so like that's actually the only one that the editing is finished. We'll probably air at like episode 5 or something. I've got 3 episodes recorded so far, plus like a solo podcast too. So I may do those occasionally too, just like when I'm ever feeling cheeky, just come up here and talk on the mic.
Yeah.
Just talk about random stuff. So I just kind of want to make regular content. So I'm going to just try my best to get as many people on and just, I'll get better the more times I do this, and, I'll have more conversations and, hopefully like bounce ideas off people and, just learn and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to do regular content. Like one thing, like I follow certain people who do podcasts, and like I follow Tim Dillon, he's a comedian and he's always making funny stuff, and he usually posts every Sunday, and like now I'm like every single weekend I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go. I'm like waiting for it, and then just the other day like he didn't post for like a month. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where are you at, Tim? I'm like on his Instagram comments, post a podcast. I'm like, so I'm trying to just put out regular content, put out content regularly. So I'm thinking like twice a week is like a pretty good amount.
That'd be
Yeah,
perfect.
even if you could do one a week, that'd be pretty solid. So
Yeah.
that's my goal with it.
I think consistency is like really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So do you guys have like a next pod scheduled, or have you released your current pods? Are they out there?
Not yet.
No.
Just recorded them?
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have a name for your podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Click to be Set Free.
Click to be set free.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because like my branding is kind of under Click to be, so like my jewelry is Click to be saved.
Huh.
And then
Click to be saved.
Yeah.
That's the name of your jewelry. Is that your
Yeah.
website?
Yeah, that's my website.
Click to be saved.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I don't model or anything, but I would love to like build my
Modeling.
a little bit at least my own brand, because as an entrepreneur, like I am the brand, and so I want like my own brand to be Click to be Pure, which is my Instagram handle, and then this is Click to be Set Free, because I obviously am a person that values freedom so much, and I like the phrase like, the truth will set you free, and obviously that's what I'm trying to bring to the podcast, is just
Nice.
some truth, just some wisdom that could just help anybody,
And then the
expand
click.
their mind a little bit.
Yeah. And then the click is just because it's online, like you're clicking, or is there anything more to
Yeah,
that?
I saw this on Tumblr, I believe. But I feel like, we're all searching for something. Like, that's why we're on social media, whether it be like validation or
OnlyFans models.
yeah,
No,
that
I'm just
side of the
kidding.
internet too. But everyone's looking for something. So I feel like, I don't know, it just flows.
Nice. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's
Very
nice and
cool.
cohesive.
Yeah. It is good to have like one thing that's like across too. Yeah.
I
That's pretty
really
cool.
do like your no credentials though.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
that's
So
like,
sweet, man. That
that's
sounded awesome.
so catchy. Like,
Thank you.
I think
Credentials.
it's gonna do amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Me and my buddy Casey came up with a name for it like probably 2 years ago, and we were gonna do the podcast together for forever, but it was just very difficult getting us together, making it happen. And so at some point, I'm like, Case, I'm doing it. I'd love to have you on as much as possible. He's actually gonna be the first episode. We recorded
Oh,
it
sweet.
like a week or so ago. But I'm like, I'm just making it happen, and I'm taking the name. So
Talking about, man. Good
yeah,
stuff.
because I like the name. I think it's sick. And then I love this this thing too. So I actually had this made from the logo design was through AI. Actually, I just like there's AI is like insane. I don't know if you guys have played with it, but I like just creating logos or creating like ChatGPT, all that stuff is just so nuts. But I created the logo through that, and then I met this guy in an Uber, actually, the Frantic Foamer. Shout out to him, the Frantic Foamer. He made this, and I'm fucking super excited with that too. That's been really cool.
It's
Yeah.
nice. It's
Yeah.
very, very present.
Oh, thank you.
And it's really cool.
Yeah,
I've
cool.
used the ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I use it for like research.
Oh, nice.
So I'm
It's-
like, I have like a question, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
a little bit easier to extract information out of the internet.
For sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So cool.
It's nuts. I think honestly we're at the point where it's like we're like similar to the advent of the internet, like is what's gonna happen, like the explosion in just growth, like technologically, or the advent of like the printing press or the fucking wheel or fire. Like I think it's just as big. It's so crazy. Do you guys listen to podcasts? Like, so there's this guy, Mark Andreessen, something like that. He just went on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's like an AI expert. Whoa. Crazy. Like, watch it.
I'd love to hear that.
Listen to it. I've actually listened to it twice because like it's just absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky.
Yeah. You know what's interesting actually is that like everyone thought internet and technology and the advancement of technology is going to take over all these blue collar jobs. It's actually probably going to take over a lot of white collar jobs. Ooh. So like it can give a like a medical diagnosis on par or better than your average doctorate. It can give a legal write-up on par or better than your average law graduate. It can give nutritional advice that's, you know, better than 99% of nutritionists. It can give, you know, all of these things like at a really high level. And it's hilarious that like, you know, well, especially because if you think about it, like AI should, or technology should replace all the shitty work, you know, and like being like, I think of it as like a lawyer, for instance. Like, I don't think anyone really just like law, that's like what gets me going, you know. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of satisfaction with becoming really good at something, and once they're, you know, very good, and there's you know, good, they probably become better speakers and argumenters, or whatever the right word is there. But there's probably a lot of satisfaction that comes subsequently from being a good lawyer. But I can't imagine anyone like wants to like in real estate, sometimes a purchase contract can be 50 pages and I've got to send that to a lawyer, and a lawyer has to go through it. Sometimes it takes weeks to comb through that 50-page contract, and it's a bunch of high-level legal jargon that they're nitpicking and going over with a fine-tooth comb. That cannot be enjoyable, right? They only do it because they've gotten very good at it, and they could charge, you know, $400 to $1,000 an hour for doing it, and so they can make a good wage from doing it. But I can just copy paste that, or if I can, just copy paste that same 50-page purchase contract into ChatGPT and say like, "Hey, I'm the buyer in this. Give me like, you know, give me some good edits." It just pumps it out in 2 minutes. I mean, that's crazy.
There you go.
Yeah, it's insanely cheaper. It's free, and if it can give a you know, edits that are on par or better than your average lawyer, what the fuck is?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Shout out all the lawyers watching this right now.
Actually, this guy that I trained with,
tears.
Yeah, my boy Rocky. He's like, he actually just graduated from law school. I'm like, dude, what's ChatGPT gonna do?
Your job, yeah. You don't
Hand on shoulder. Hey, man. Yeah. let me let you in on something.
Yeah, his response was, ChatGPT can't take the judge golfing.
That's good.
Yeah, so I'm like, sounds kind of shady to me. So you're saying ChatGPT isn't shady? No, I'm kidding. No,
Well,
I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
that is funny that you say that, because like when you think back to COVID, when it very first happened, like society could run without all the, you know, people with the higher paying jobs. Like, you know, they could work from home, but society couldn't function without the people, you know,
like construction or, you know, in the
fast
grocery
food industry.
Yeah.
Like, the society can't run without the people who are getting paid less. And technology, like you said, AI is going to be able to do those high paying jobs, but it can't physically go in and do the actual like work.
Yeah, creating.
Are, you know, so decision based and based off of like people, and you know, you have to use your perception that way. Whereas those things are so black and white, and there's a single right way to do it. Like, that's crazy to think about.
It's interesting, right? Yeah. Because like if you're trying to make a robot that's like a plumber, you know, it's going to come to your toilet and do all that. I mean, it's, for one, it's going to be extremely expensive to create like a robot that can do that and go upstairs and give the correct, you know, diagnosis, I guess, or something like. I mean, that's it. Just takes so much physical parts. It takes like a lot of stuff, and like a legal write-up is just pulling from the entire knowledge of the internet. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be doing it for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, which I think is also crazy, because I think right now, like at least America, they're pushing so much lack onto us, like so much like lack consciousness, lack mindset, like be worried about money. Things are going up in price, and like when I get an ad on YouTube, I'm just like, oh my gosh, how do people listen to this? Like, this is horrible what the media is constantly telling us about the market and about finances. And it does affect a lot of people, because, and you know, it affects everyone right now. But the thing is that AI is making it so that there's going to be so much abundance for us to not have to work.
For sure.
And I feel like that's why they're trying so hard to push like lack onto us and like make us scared, is because they're really trying to distract from the fact that we don't need to work like as hard, and these technology advancements are going to make it so we don't have to work as hard. But then it's like, okay, well, what do we do once we get to that point? Because if people aren't working every day, like, what are we going to do with them? So I guess that's, like, kind of an interesting concept to think about the future, too, as the change comes with AI and things like that.
Well, it's interesting. I think that, like, a lot of jobs will be replaced through that. But I think, I don't know, there's something that's, like, in the universe that, like, if we're just taking stuff out of it, like, we've got to be putting stuff back into it, or else like the whole system doesn't function well. So maybe the work is not, you know, being a lawyer or something, or maybe it's not bagging groceries, but I feel like they're sort of like a beehive. Like you got to be like, you know, helping the hive out in some way. So maybe work is just like figuring out what the best way for you to work is, like what it's going to be, or maybe a change in how people work.
Yeah, I think that society really needs that shift, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, it's important too. Like, I mean, you mentioned that like all this negative stuff that they're pushing through ads and whatnot. I feel like it's important to just sort of treat like your social media intake sort of like as part of your diet. Like it's very important to have a healthy diet of food and what you put into your body. What you consume on your phone is part of your diet, and it's very important that you're not like watching the news or watching, you know, all these things are just doom and gloom. I think a lot of it's just not real life, and it's just so much you'll feel a lot healthier, or just feel a lot better about your own head if you're just not consuming that.
Very good point.
Yeah.
I feel like like there's people on the internet, or just people in general, you know, they find it hard to like distinguish between, you know, what's good content to be taken in and what's not.
Yeah.
You know, but to be that individual that's able to be like, okay, this is true, this is real. You know, some people just can't tell the difference.
Yeah. And some of it's like just, you know, not looking at it completely, you know, because like, I don't know, a lot of it with news in general, I feel like it's just not good to look at.
Because I don't watch the news at all.
I feel like it's just so satiated, and like people, like you said, like it's hard to tell like this is good, this is true. I feel like especially the older generation, they just take it for face value, and they just think this is the real life. Like I know people who are like elderly, you know, like people that I work with that are just like thinking like, oh, it's just so horrible outside. Like I can't believe that all these things are going on and all this. I'm like, I go outside and I'm having fun out there, you know, like that's how that's how I experience the real life. You know, I don't know exactly what you're experiencing, but they just consume this and think that like, oh, you know, the just life is horrible, the country's going to shit, all this stuff, just because they're just all they're consuming is just doom and gloom.
Just skews their perception of reality.
Yeah, for sure.
Screw that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think this younger generation is like very different in the way that we don't just take it at face value. Like the way things are now is like we can go and do our own research, whereas in the past things were just like fed down and they just, you know, like it was kind of like, you know, there's only one path to be successful. You know, you go to school, you go to college, you get your degree, and then, you know, you work your way up the ladder or whatever. But
now that's like almost a horrible game plan.
Yes.
You know, you're just going to get in a shit ton of debt for like a $50,000 a year job when you're 150 in debt, and it takes, you know, fucking a lot more than that just to live.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And the internet has been like such a catalyst for just a different way to make money and everything.
The traditional route is definitely like, it's definitely outdated. You know, like I think about it this way. I'm like, I feel like there should be some sort of middle ground, and I was talking to Margo about this yesterday. Like there should be some sort of middle ground between high school and college. Like I feel like they should promote like, hey, you know, don't go straight to college unless you really know what you want to do, and that's, you know, you're pretty clear on that. But don't put yourself in that situation
if you're just unsure.
Yeah, without like really knowing like what life is about, because you're conditioned all your life to, you know, do school and think that getting A's on tests and passing tests is the test, but life is the test. So like to be able to have that time to really just like step into life and gain perspective. Like that's really where you learn that's where you learn the most, through
Super
exposure
important.
therapy,
Yeah, for sure. And just actually going out and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like so many people just go into college and I'm just general studies, or, I'm in business or something random just because they're not sure what they want to do. And all they do is just get themselves in a crazy amount of debt and then end up like nowhere further. Or you learn a lot more, at least I did, like socially, just like interacting with people. I'm not sure if I use anything that I learned in class right now. And I'm not fucking doing anything as far as my degree was, but at the same time, I don't know. It's just, it seems like a broken way to do things. Like maybe in the 70s or 80s, it was really valuable having a bachelor degree. But also too, at the time, what did it cost? Like 10 grand to get a bachelor degree. And the average income was like 20 a year. Now it's like, it costs, I don't know what that numbers are, but it's like an average $100,000. And like the median salary is like 50,000. And the average house in Arizona costs 500,000. It's like, everything is so much more expensive, and also there's so many more people with bachelor's degrees. So it gets hit by double inflation. Like it's so much more expensive, and there's so much more people with them. So you're competing against more people. So it's like the degree is worth less, and it costs more. So yeah, it's not a good way to do it.
Not at all.
Yeah. Do you guys have degrees?
I have an associate's,
Yeah.
but I went to school for like audio production, but didn't really need to go to school for it. I was just like, hey, this is something I'm passionate about. Let me just go for it. But I was like, once I finished that, I was like, all right, let me just take a step away from college and, figure it out. And honestly, doing that was really like helped me find my purpose and get really clear on what it is that I want to do,
So did you just say like, school's not for me, I want to take a break, or?
Pretty much. I mean, I've been pretty good with school like my whole life. But I was like, yeah, like I got to step away from this and figure out,
What exactly you want to do?
Yeah.
So what were you going to school for?
Audio production.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
it worked out.
Yeah,
He
really
uses
did.
it for the
You did learn.
podcast.
Yeah.
so it's like,
You did learn some stuff. All right,
Like-
college is great. Go to school.
yeah, no, it's interesting how it worked out for me because, I did choose like the community college route because I was like, yeah, screw university. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm like thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. And I feel bad for the people that are in debt. It's just like the school system is taking advantage of those people.
Sucks.
It's messed up. And
Yeah.
it's messed up that they don't provide a way to like guide those students out of that or even, I don't know. But
yeah, one of my best friends is like, he graduated about a decade ago, and he's like $80,000 still in debt. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I understand the value of an education, but
It's not the best way to get an education
It's not.
right now.
I
mean, the cost wise and everything. I mean, like, I heard someone make the analogy. It's like, if you go to school for business, you spend $100,000 learning from some guy who's never owned a fucking business.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to learn from that person? It's some college professor that's never owned a business in their life, and this is who you're learning business from.
Exactly.
The best thing would be to just go try shit.
Seriously.
Just go check it out. I mean, like, there's a bunch of stuff you can do for a relatively low cost, or you just work your ass off doing other stuff, save money, and then fucking until you can get enough money to, put into your passion and do it that way.
One thing I was thinking of yesterday was I was like, well, the only reason why I'd want to go to university is because I'd want to like experience and see what it's about. But I'm like, either way, I'm not like, I already know that that's not what my route's going to be. But I was like, if there's any particular classes that I am interested in, then all I got to do is go and show up. And most of the college professors will be more than happy to have, somebody that's not a student in the class just sit in and learn. So it's like, I think that's the best way for, a free education at a university.
Yeah.
Learning the same stuff that everybody else is learning. Because then you could take that information and then share it on to others. So like, I was thinking about like doing like a segment on like my podcast, because I'm also working on like a solo one where it's just me in front of the microphone, kind of like how you were doing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like kind of talking through different things, just, because at the end of the day, we're all like alone. So it just makes sense to like use that time to like try to figure out your own situation.
Get your own thoughts out.
Yeah. They're very therapeutic.
It is. Yeah. It's almost like writing in a diary, but just doing it into a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd recommend that to anybody too. It's just so helpful.
The diary or the microphone? both.
Both. Yeah. I mean, it's all like, it's similar, you know,
It really
it's
is.
just expressing yourself. And that's something that's really helped me. Like I started doing that like probably 3 years ago because my communication used to like be pretty bad because I was very introverted growing up. But kind of overcoming that and working on my communication, taking the time to journal and taking the time to document and capture the process and just appreciate the process. It's a very cool thing. It's nice to be able to like grow and like transition into, you know, a better space, a better place in your mind and just in general.
Yeah, no one starts off perfect. You got to work on it to become better at anything.
It's a constant etching away. It's a constant pulling yourself out of yourself. Kind of like how you're saying with the redlining thing. Like that's cool that you push yourself in that manner.
Yeah, exactly. And then your red line gets further every time. Yeah. Like my car red lines at like 5,000 or 6,000 RPMs, and my I used to have a motorcycle that used to red line at like 17,000 RPMs. So that's what I'm trying to get to. My body.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But it just goes by, you know, like just trying to fucking work on yourself and polishing yourself.
And it's like everything that you could learn in school, you could literally just be like, all right, well, let me look into this on the internet. Let me search up a video on this on YouTube, or, you know, especially if you get really clear on what it is you want to learn, you can extract that information. You can get that information. It's like, why not? You just got to put in the effort within yourself.
That's totally true.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's YouTube University. You can learn so much shit through YouTube. Yeah. I'm not great at the piano, but I can do a couple things on it, and 100% from YouTube. Yeah, I mean, like, what the best shit to buy, all of this stuff, all YouTube. You know, like, what's like good ideas for podcasts. Although every single, if you look up like how to start a podcast, or like what are the best tips for new podcasters, or like I've been podcasting 7 years and here's 10 things I would do differently. Every single one of them are like, pick a niche, do something that's niche, and don't like just do a general podcast. I'm like, nah. That's the one thing I'm like, nah.
No, I was looking at that too. I was like, nah, like, sure, that's a route, and it can, you know, come to, like, it could bring you success, like, sure, but it's like then you're limiting yourself to just one thing.
Yeah.
And then people just want that one thing, and then when you try to transition and do something else,
they're like, that's not you.
Yeah. So like when you're branding yourself, like how you're branding yourself as well, you know, no credentials, it's like it's the best way to do it, because you're able to move in any direction, and just it's a unlimited possibility with how you can, you know, do your thing.
And maybe for certain people, there are particular things that, like, maybe that's all they want to talk about, and that's like really great. But like, I know, like, I love jujitsu. I've got friends who have jujitsu podcasts, but it's like, dude, there's only so much I could talk about jujitsu, and like that's, you know, it's just gonna get a little old for me. Yeah, you know. So yeah, I like just fucking chopping it up about whatever. Yeah,
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, is there anything you guys? Should we wrap it up?
Sure.
Good.
All right. Well, this has been a super fun way to just like get to know each other. I think we mentioned it at the beginning, but like we've like literally just met each other, and like we're just like chopping it up and having a conversation. So, really interesting way to do it. And thank you guys for coming on. And I would like to thank our sponsor, BlackRock, official sponsor of the podcast. No, I've been, and Liquid Death, official sponsor of the podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, all right, go ahead.
I was just going to say thanks so much for coming on. And like you said, the only way to do something is to just do it. So I think this will be really cool to maybe, you know, meet up later and see how much we have both grown.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Once the weather cools off, I'll do your outdoors podcast for sure.
Well, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming so much.
She's been awesome. You're a really great host, and just a really cool person. You got a great, genuine personality, and it shines through. And so I wish you best of luck with everything that you're doing with your podcast and your visions that you're bringing to life and stuff like that. So,
well, thank you.
Cool, man.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I feel like I'm not perfect at it, but I'm just trying to work and just trying my best out here.
That's what we're all trying to do, man.
Yeah.
So we got to do it together.
Hell yeah. I love it. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much.
Dude, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the No Credentials Podcast. Thank you for watching.
Heck yeah, man.